in a little bit here. If you're new to any of my pages, I am on YouTube and I'm also on Facebook at the same time now. So I'm linking into two systems at once, so two groups of people. It is an early Wednesday morning. I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, it's an early Wednesday morning. Good morning, Nikki, which is not a normal time for me to be in here, but today is a special day. Today I'm launching another new course, which I'm so excited about. Good morning, Christy. Good morning, Tracy. And Claire, good morning. So this week, actually today I'm launching another course. As many of you know that follow my work and follow with me, you know that I have a huge program called More Than Existing, and I have a book that's on its way that ties with that whole system as well. And it's about living. It's a self-actualization, empowerment, transformational coaching program. Plus, I work as a spiritual healer, so it incorporates spiritual healing. And that's why we're here this morning, is the spiritual healer in me is showing up this morning, because I am so much more than the psychic medium, the life coach that you get on on the lives, and I pull cards for people and I speak to people, through the coaching aspect of the business. I work as a spiritual healer, and that incorporates everything. And I work with the angels, and I work with our guides, and I work communicating to the other side. There's so many things that I am very blessed to get to do. The biggest thing is that I'm a channel. I'm a channel to the divine. I get to pass through these messages. I'm a channel through for those in the hierarchy, in the holy realm, where I can speak through messages that are given to me through the God consciousness, through the essence of the divine Mother Mary energy. And when you understand those things on a different level of taking it away from religion and moving it in, and I'm not against religion. I'm a very, and it's like, I'm very open to everything. Once you can start to move yourself into this new, into a new way of thinking of what else is possible, to be curious. That's the whole essence of how my channel works. What we actually call me would be like a mystic, a prophetess, is what the terminology we use in spiritual world. So today I'm coming in as the spiritual healer, coming forth to bring to talk a little bit about what spiritual healing is and the importance of us going through spiritual healing journey. Good morning. Good morning, Lisa. Loving energy recharge. And Christy and Claire and Tracy and Nikki and Michelle. Oh, look, there's a whole bunch of healers in here today. Who else we got? Wendy and Joanne and Coralie and Kylie and Alicia and Rhonda. Good morning. Good morning. You could use some spiritual healing. Thank you, Rhonda. I always say I'm a clear open channel. So when I invite in healing, when I ask, I move all ego aside. And the one big thing about doing any spiritual healing work is that you have to let go of all desire to want something for somebody else, or to want things to show up into our lives. The moment that we make a choice to choose us, the moment that we make that choice to make ourselves a priority, is the moment that we start to say yes to us. And this evening, I'm just waiting for people to join in. Good morning, Gail. This evening, I start on teachable.com, a 4-week online program. It's live and interactive. You don't have to be at the lives. It is recorded. I am teaching, and I'm so excited to be doing this, and it's healing the healer. And that is the everyday woman. We all arrive upon earth with the being a healer, and our roles as a mother, our roles as a woman, our roles in taking on being, helping, caring, nurturing, and we nurture everyone else, and we become very conditioned. Yes, conditioned. We're taught. We live in a world where we are taught to put other people first. or to forget that we are one of those children of the Christ-like energy, that we are to be of the same value, the same importance, to respect ourselves the same way we respect others, to not judge ourselves the way we judge, the way that other people may want to judge us, and to stop looking in the mirror and picking ourselves apart and thinking, oh God, I'm aging, or oh, life, I don't have this in my life, or I don't have that in my life, but what do I have? And when we can start to gain new perspectives is what we're doing in healing. Loving Energy Recharge just posted the link for the school. So it is it's in teachable.com. It is Corey School of Magic. And the magic part of Corey School of Magic is the actual magic that's inside of you. And Corey School of Magic is filling up with all kinds of programs. And it's also not just going to always be just Corey teaching. There's going to be so many other things that are happening inside of there. It is evolving. We are on a mission to be able to help women and men to be able to make the changes in their lives, to be able to live from a place of, kind of shifting and moving. And I can tell you, every single day in this past few weeks, this past few months, really honestly feels as if there's never a day that the energy is the same. We're never stuck. And like the past few days, it feels like I feel like I get on this one little plane of going to get this information. I'm going to download this information. The next day I wake up and it goes poof, and that piece drops down, and then something new comes in. And so as a channel, I'm just constantly gaining like this, I just get one lot of information and then there's new lots. Like, nope, today is not going to be like yesterday. Nope, today is going to change again. So it's evolving very, very quickly. So the energy that's coming up that I'm feeling, which it's like, don't be afraid of the energy. I'm just trying to bring up on my phone, up on my computer, the live on here, so that I can watch everywhere for comments, because apparently I'm missing comments. And so when we're truly, honestly allowing ourselves to be in this energy, is that we don't want to get stuck, and you don't want to get stuck on one way of thinking. You don't want to get stuck on one way of healing. And I remember back when I took my first Reiki training, and way back when, and I'm like, I couldn't wait to be a Reiki master. And I spoke about this in a channeled message that I did on Friday. I'm like, back when I did that training, there was so much love. There was no desire for anyone to be bigger, to be better, to be more than. There was no competition. It was all, I was taught by the most loving Reiki master in the world. Like, it was just, every bit of it was just filled with such love, and it was so simple. Life was so simple. There was a simplicity to it. And then I took my angel card training with Radleigh Valentine, and it was Doreen Virtue as well at the time, but Doreen has since moved on to her new journey in her life, doing her next thing that aligns to her. And but that course was the same thing. It was so loving. And the big thing about the loving that I noticed was we had humor. There was so much humor. There was so much laughter. Along with having to work through our pain, we also still had a sense of humor with it. We had fun with it. It was a journey. We weren't taking life so serious and so personal. Everything that was happening out in the world wasn't all about us. Everything that was happening out there wasn't, oh, it's all out to get me. Life wasn't out to get me, or somebody else was out to be better than me. And we have become that world. And it's like, I'm seeing, and I wrote about this in the channel message that I did yesterday, and I posted. If you watch my channeled blog, the vlogs that I put out there, the video blogs that I'm putting out. And so if you watch those, they're channeled messages that I'm getting in that moment. And what came up for me was the essence that we've all become like this, this tantrum society. I didn't get what I wanted. And a lot of the energy that has been projected on us throughout our lives have come from people in our lives whose reality was become the reality they were creating, but also about the world where they didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get their needs met. They didn't get life to be the way that they wanted it to be. So a lot of their anger, frustration, their offensiveness, their defensiveness was projected over onto us as being the younger generations, or the the more vulnerable generations at the time of being children. And we carried that through. And as we step up and we roll our way through life, is that we don't realize how much we are imprinted and impacted by the behaviors and actions and the beliefs and the habits of those who have been in our presence throughout life, whether it is parents, whether it is grandparents, um, whether it's friends, family friends, how we've been impacted and affected. And then it becomes partners. And often we don't even realize that a big part of who we are and how we are showing up in this world is not even our own identity. It's like doing a color remover on hair, right? I'm a hairdresser. Me is that you cannot get back to the original state of the hair unless you take the time, go through the process, go right into the root of it, and allow the hair to all grow out again. That's the only way to get back to the original color of the hair. Only way. Putting a color remover on top of layers and layers and layers of color is not going to take you back to the original color. But we believe it to be true because the box says it can return you to the color that you had. No, it cannot. You can only get that color if you go all the way to the root. Well, that's life. We have to go all the way to the root in order to discover. And that's not any time that you were ever here up on earth. Because the moment you arrived, somebody laid a hand up on your skin, somebody took you out. So instantly you were imprinted by somebody else's energy. And your whole life, you have been imprinted by somebody else's energy. And we don't realize the impact that it has upon us. We don't realize the moments until we go through something traumatic, like in a breakup in a relationship where somebody hurts our feelings, where somebody, or somebody questions us, or somebody calls us out on our own bullshit, that with the way that we start to act or the way we behave, and you're like, you're acting like a spoiled brat. I am no spoiled brat, blah, blah, blah. What are we always trying to defend? And why are we so offended by the outside world? And why are we so quick to make up our minds about how we think we know somebody is out there in the world when you have never met them personally? Or we get so caught up in the ideology of like the celebrity status and, oh, I want to be like that celebrity. I want to be just like them. Well, you're seeing a character role. You're seeing what they want the world to see. So we also have that within ourselves. We put out what we want the world to see. But who are you behind your curtains? Who are you behind your veil? Who are you in hiding? Who are you when you feel as if you had to keep suppressing your feelings? You feel as if you have to keep hiding, when you feel as if you have to keep keeping yourself way back in the back burner, and that you have so many other things about you that you don't let out. And so it's like, oh, I want to be like that celebrity. Well, you don't know that celebrity. Same way you don't know that person that you hate so much. So if you're hating the politicians, if you're hating other people in the world, if you're hating somebody who thinks differently than you, do you know them personally? Or if somebody's not liking you, do they know you personally? And why are we taking everything that's out there so personally? It's because we all have in us somewhere some unhealed moments, and we are triggered. And we get triggered by actions, we get triggered by words, and we become very offended very easily. And I just taught that in my level 3 of More Than Existing last night, is about becoming offended. And I mean, my words, just me showing up, just me being present, just me having a voice, just me saying I'm a spiritual healer offends people. Offends people. And it offends people because it goes against the truth and the reality of what they have created to be true for them. So I'm the worst human being up on this earth. I'm going to a special place because I do this. I'm anti-God. because I do this work, because that's what somebody has told them. That has been a belief system that they hold to be true, because that's what they've been told, that's what they've created. To live open-minded, to live spiritually, setting yourself free, to live in peace, allows you to let go of all judgment. Allows you to set yourself free of being so quick to stamp an identity upon somebody, to give somebody else an identity that you create for them. Because if we spend a lifetime wanting somebody else to be this certain identity, then we spend a lot of time of our lives being offended by everything that's in the world, because our little sensitive beings have become so conditioned to be judgmental, to be this energy, to believe everything that your eyes see in one moment. So if you were out at a store and you seen somebody hugging, you seen a married woman hugging a married man in a store, but they weren't the couple. How quickly do we jump to a conclusion? How quickly do we jump into a story that there's something more going on there? Right? And how many times have that happened? And then that becomes a destructive energy and destructive story. Now, if somebody is angry in their heart and they have an ulterior motive to that and they want to be manipulative, they're going to say they seen them actually kissing, or they're going to say they seen more than what they seen. That becomes the new reality. And then that becomes the truth that they start to tell. And then that is the truth, right? That's the truth. I seen it with my eyes. I want everyone to believe that, because they want something else. They want something else to take place. They want to see people's lives destroyed. They want to see people be as miserable as they are. They want people to live in their misery. So the truth of the story becomes that's what they tell, and then that's another false reality. And the only truth is the truth that's beyond the veil. And the veil is in the spiritual realm, the spiritual world. And once we start to peel back the layers, once we're like jawbreakers, we're like onions. When we get to peel back, we realize that we do that to ourselves. We do that within our own selves. We tell ourselves the stories. We create our realities. Joy McGregor's obviously not watching because she's sending me pictures. And so they're sending, is that we send ourselves these messages, and we create this reality world that we live in, that the stories that we tell ourselves are to be true. And so, yes, it's deflection of their own issues, but those issues of those reflection becomes out everywhere else. So the book, More Than Existing, is actually written of looking through the eyes of everyone else. So when I had to take a good look back through my life, I looked at everyone who was in my life in the scenarios. And when you can return to seeing everybody as spirit instead of as human, you can actually start to deal with the healing, because people only do to us what we allow, and we believe only what we believe what we want to believe. So when you're swimming around in a pool with misery, you live in misery. When you're swimming around in a pool of gossip, then you're with gossip. When you're swimming around in a pool of hate for the world and everything else, you become that. There's something inside of each and every one of us. But we're also here to remember, you're here for the human experience. So spiritual healing is not about hitting this level of enlightenment where you forget that you're even human, because that's such a joyous world to hang out in. And anybody can wear a spiritual t-shirt that says, I'm spiritual. But can you put the work in? Are you willing to go to the hard places? Are you willing to go to the unknown? Because we get no matter how uncomfortable it really is, we get very comfortable by staying in our misery. We get very comfortable by staying in our garbage, right? So we just do, because it's harder sometimes to make a shift and to make a change, because we can't see it. If I knew where I needed to go, if I knew what my partner looked like, if I knew what my life looked like, if I knew what this looked like, then I'd be more willing to make a change. But we don't know, because not another moment is guaranteed for us. We don't know what those next moments are. And so this course that I'm teaching, this program that I'm launching out, that's starting, is truly about us going to the core. It's about going deep into the why of why we don't feel that, why we don't choose to look at ourselves with the same love that we look at our children. how we look at the other things in life, how we don't see ourselves as a beautiful blossoming flower, or as we don't see the magnitude, and how we get so caught in a one-dimensional thinking, and how we're so willing to live with blinders on. And we get so laser focused on one direction. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. And that we forget that this mind gets cluttered. This mind gets contaminated, infested with other people's views and stories. I don't want you to believe everything that I say. I don't want you to follow me to a point of where it's like, oh God, everything she says. No, I want you to question yourself. I'm here to guide you through by giving you the tools that'll help you. I want us to return. My desire is so that I teach courses that return us to being able to heal on a beautiful level, like how when I started. This is not a freaking competition. These programs, and yes, the world is swamped in people entering into spiritual work. It's never has been a desire of mine. I've been helping people heal from even behind the chair since I was young, since I was 18 years old. People would tell me their life stories. And I'm like, and no, you don't repeat stuff that people so-called say you do. You don't, because you don't remember it. There's so many things that go on in our lives. When you get to that point, or when you know you have a passion inside of you to fix people, to heal people, you start to realize that that's not your calling. That's not your calling. Your calling is to actually learn that the person that they're trying to reach is you. So my spiritual journey started with a desire to live in my most beautiful self, to live in my heart, to live true to me. It was never about anybody else. And that's my whole point of everything that I create was never created for me to be able to, is this going to make a pile of money? It was about my healing journey. It was about my healing journey. And then I really love to be able to share that healing journey with everyone else. Because if I can feel this good, I want everyone else to feel this good. If I can still be standing up and walking when I should be in a wheelchair, if I have something inside of me, some wisdom, some knowledge that can help somebody else believe in themselves, that they can do this themselves, that they can get back up. And I don't mean that I can put my hands on people and I can say, you're healed. Not that. I mean that whole, when you believed, if you have fibromyalgia and you're told you can never do this again, you can never, you can never, you can never, and you believe you can never. But what if you can? What if there's something you can do? What if there's something that you can do for you? I wasn't willing to accept those answers. That's the difference. And these programs are created of love. They're created from a place that I just want you to be able to take that information and say, can I incorporate this into my life? How bad do I want to more than exist? How bad do I want to live a life that it feels like I'm awake, I'm alive, I'm living, that I can actually feel that I am not numb, that I want to be present. I want to be as important as everyone else in my life. I don't want to be just pleasing people. I don't care if people like me. But those who love me, I want my world to be open to them. I don't want to be closed off. I want to be able to be accepting. I don't want to stay in misery. That's what these programs are about. That's what this program is about. Making a choice to do something different than you did today. Something different than you did this morning. Not complain, not look in the mirror and say, oh God, look at you, you're aging. It's about stepping up. It's about finding you. Spiritual healers guide. Spiritual healers don't have a desire to hide away this wisdom and knowledge that channels through and say, I don't want anybody else to know that. They might steal it. They might take it to be their idea. It's not my idea. It's information that comes from wisdom and knowledge that's way beyond Corey, the everyday Corey, who I say, I know nothing. And I wake up every morning with the sense of I know nothing, so that I can be curious and I can grow and I can learn, so that I don't get stuck, so I don't become stagnant. And so this program, it starts at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time I am so excited about, because I spent years doing Reiki, and this is beyond Reiki. This is more than my Reiki. This is a combination of everything. The moment you sign up, the moment I start channeling, the moment I start meditating and stepping into the energy of each and every person who's in this program, I'm asking for the divine energy to flow through me to you. I teach based on intuition. I intuitively base. We have worksheets, we have all this stuff. We never know what's coming when I show up to teach live. We never know what's going to come through because I pick up the energy of those who are in the room. I never pre-plan. I never write down. Whenever you see me live, it's because I'm picking up your energies. I'm picking up the energies as people are rolling in, as people are signing in, as people are coming. So as you see me here right now, my hand on the back of my neck, I can tell you I'm feeling somebody right now who has neck issues, that has something going on in your back. In your spine, we hold all of our lives. And if you've been carrying the burdens of life, and it's like, we get left with shrapnel. So I have shrapnel. I always say I have a body that's full of shrapnel damage because I let myself go for way too many years. And even when I first became this spiritual healer, when I first started this journey, I still made everyone else priority, because when I got this information, I'm like, oh my God, I want everybody else to have this. So I went to giving everyone else instead of giving to me, and I made myself still last on the list. It was when my body gave out, I realized that I had to be a priority. I had to be important. I needed to start being willing to accept what was being handed to me, included the help in the personal, in the human world, and in the spiritual world. And I had to accept it. And I had to invest into me. All of these programs are an investment into you. If you say, oh, well, I can't do this, or I can't afford this, I would say I had to, no matter the cost, I had to make myself a priority. And it was the best investments that I could have ever made was into myself. And you can't give yourself away for free. I can only do so much for free. And because if I keep doing for free, then there's no balance of equal of giving. And I still have to pay for my life. Still have to pay for this stuff. And so there's this essence that when you recognize your worth, when you recognize your value, if you can go out and buy, if you can go out and buy a coffee a day, if you can go out and spend money on other things, and you're out shopping because you're trying to fill these emotional voids, or you're trying to keep suppressing the things that you want to deal with, right? Then when we're doing those things, we're doing nothing any different. Like that is still all pushing it under the rug, not dealing with things. So why not invest it into something that you're actually dealing with your shit, doing something that's for you? Yeah. So Shannon, that's you, the bad neck? And Shannon, yeah, I have it. And so in spiritual healing, this is what we do. We acknowledge the places. I can see through the body. I can see into the organs so I can see the specks. I can see the things that are happening. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not any of that stuff. I ain't diagnosing nobody's stuff. And I am not fixing nobody. Not happening. Not my job. But I give the wisdom and knowledge that has worked for me, that helps me through. So I just want to read back through some comments. I know I've been talking and not answering. Good morning to everybody who's been joining in. I love seeing everybody here. And Lisa, who owns Loving Energy Recharge, who also does human design work. Incredible. She's posting the link for the school, Corey School of Magic. Right? You can resonate with thinking, I didn't get what I wanted or needed. Yeah. And so we get offended. So if you're just joining now, I was talking about being offended, and we get so offended because, we get so mad that the world didn't give me what I wanted and I didn't get what I needed. And so we become like this whole world of like this tantrumy energy. I'm drinking yesterday's coffee. I put it in the fridge. My stomach can only hold 1 cup. So, and so back to Joanne. So yes. And so it's that sense of being offended, right? We become offended by the world and we don't realize. So when we become that offended energy, we don't realize that we become very offensive, or that, we start nitpicking at things, and we start picking at people, and we start, and we pick at the people we love the most, or the people that love us. People pick at us because we're the safe place, and we take it. When our children take their shit out on us, and we say, oh, that's okay for little Susie to do that to me because she didn't mean that. No, she freaking meant it, or she wouldn't have done it. So when you lay the responsibility back on people, and you lay responsibility on yourself, saying, no, little Susie, that was not appropriate. That was not appreciated. I'm a human like you're a human. And that you disrespected me. So we teach our children, and our children teach us. My daughter at 3 years old, I was conditioned that everybody yelled because that's how everybody heard each other in our house. Family full of high functioning and high energy. And we functioned off a high energy, loud, but that wasn't me. So my not true self, when I got a daughter, and she was so gentle and spoke so quiet, but when she wasn't doing what I want her to do, I was raising my voice. One day she raised her voice to me, and she started to yell at me, and I'm like, Maggie, don't you ever yell at me. And she sat on the steps, and she was covering her ears. And when I turned around to look at her, she was sitting on the steps, and she's covering her ears, and she was waiting for me to yell back. And she said, I only yelled at you so you could know what it feels like to be yelled at. She said, if you don't yell at me, I wouldn't yell at you. You needed to hear me yell. And I went, oh my God, this little 3-year-old just taught me. I sat down next to her. First I cried. And then I just said to her, I'm like, I am so sorry, baby. I am so sorry that I did that to you, because that has nothing to do with you. And I will make you a promise that I will do better as a human. I promise you that I will do better. I will not do that to you. If I do, please remind me. I had to respect her as much as she respected me, because she wasn't just my child. And I always said, I don't own my daughter. My daughter was never owned by me. We don't take ownership. We're not, nobody owns us. It's no matter what. We don't own them. We are given them for a time to be held responsible, to teach them, to guide them. So it's not an ownership. They're not always ours. And timing is not, we don't know the timing that we have, so we can't live in fear of timing, and we can't hold on to them. We can't stop them from living their lives out of fears of things of the past, or of fear of our own lives, and we can't fix ourselves through our children. And that's why we have programs like this, so that we can truly deal with things, so we're not suppressing it, we're not getting it down. And then when we suppress everything, or when we keep saying it's okay when it's not, when we keep holding on to everyone's crap, or we keep allowing ourselves to go through emotional abuse, trauma, narcissistic tendencies, being somebody else's emotional punching bag, our body carries that. And sometimes we can will ourselves to be sick, thinking, well, if I just get sick, maybe they'll be nicer to me. Maybe people treat me nicer if I'm not well. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. And the more we stay in our own unhealthy energy, is the more that we become ill in all ways to our lives, because the energy is a low vibrating frequency. We're going to be working on brain waves. We're going to be working on auras and chakras on deeper levels than just learning colors. We're working on energy. And we're also going to have fun with this, because it's not all meant to be so serious. And do I incorporate cards into it? No. No, I'm not coming in as an oracle card reader as the spiritual healer. I'm not coming in. I'm bringing in life coaching, of course, in the spiritual healing, because it goes as one, because I do self-actualization. I'm not going to be responsible for your healing. You are going to be responsible for your healing. That's it, because no one can save us but ourselves. Good morning, everyone who's joining. And so this is our journey through, and I really hope to see you all joining me in this program as we're doing this. And for anyone who's just watching, I am on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So there's 2 lots of comments coming up. I have 3 I just put phone aside. I have 3 screens that I'm watching as I'm speaking here. So I just want to go back through the comments, go through the questions here. Shannon, so true, doing so much for everyone and have forgotten me. Feels like I've lost myself, got to deal with my shit. Yes, Shannon, exactly. Exactly. And that's what we do. We don't make ourselves as important as we make everybody else. What makes us ever believe that we are a lesser value than anyone else in our home? Just because we were given the title of a mother, as a wife, as a girlfriend, of whatever it is, what a grandmother, what makes that role is only identified by how you have been told it's identified. Because that is not the truth. That's the whole role, so when we look at those roles and we look at it, it's like we forget that there's a human being. And I spoke about this in my group last night when I spoke about being the hairdresser, and for all those years, and when social media came out, well, we got really forgotten that we were human beings. And I could be someone's hairdresser for years. And then the moment that you didn't do what somebody wanted, or someone decided they didn't like you, even though people don't know you. Most people probably didn't know what my last name was. But you get that moment when you see that, you wake up and you see that social media post right on a screen, right on some social group of the keyboard warrior, blah, 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 about this hairdresser, about this person, about that person, and da, 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 da. Does anybody know of any good hairdressers? Because there's no good hairdressers in this town, and da, da, da. Now, that's hurtful. That would hurt. And in the beginning of social media, that would hurt. But when you really got to the essence of being a healer who was working as a hairdresser, I'm not going to take that personal, because that has a whole lot less to do about me and a whole lot more to do about them. Because what is not getting met inside of them? Because changing our hair is not going to fix our life. Getting some new foundation, putting on some new clothes is not going to fix all the other stuff. It is one more Band-Aid that we pile on top. Is it lovely to have new hair? Of course it is. But if we were to have to, if we spend our whole lives staying connected so much into being so invested into the material world creating our happiness, or the people in our lives creating our happiness, we are moving further and further away from getting to the truth of our own self, of knowing who we are, of being our true self. And that's why, even as a spiritual healer, I made it a commitment, not just a decision, a commitment, that I would do whatever it takes at whatever cost to do the healing work on me, so that I wasn't a broken healer. So I wasn't a broken life coach. So I wasn't somebody out there that was not doing my own shit, but very quick to tell somebody else how to live their life, or to help somebody else heal their life, but my life was falling to crappy little pieces. No, I called myself out on my own shit, made a choice that I could not continue the way that I was going by not fixing my life, by not doing what I needed to do for me, by not being offended, being angry, being frustrated, being caught up in this whole outside material world, or so determined to be this whole celebrity status thing of to be the best of the best, or to be more than, or to be better than. I don't give a shit about that stuff. I care about the hearts. And I care about my own heart. And I cared that I cared because I care. I've always cared. Everything I do with my whole heart. I did it for all my years of hairdressing. People might not know the essence of the sacrifices that we made to be the best, or to stay till 10 o'clock at night to accommodate somebody's needs, to give somebody, so I could make it convenient for somebody, so I could help somebody, or how many free haircuts we would give out, or how many things you'd do for free. But you didn't need people to know that. because I don't need that validation from the outside world. If you're still depending on the validation from the outside world by purchasing more, by having more, by having to make sure that you got the best clothes, or that you're trying to keep covering and masking things up, it's time to go inward. Time to go inward. I want to be the healed healer. I want to be the healed life coach. I want to be vulnerable and transparent and be real and be honest. Integrity means everything to me. Always have. But I have no need to defend myself. When you don't have a need to defend yourself, you're no longer offended. When you don't have any need to get caught in looking at everyone else's faults and what's wrong with everyone else, you have no need no more. When you're not trying to manipulate and try to make everybody get on your team and your team only, you've passed the trauma and you're no longer triggered so much by that outside world. You stop it. But it takes us having to take ownership and responsibility and look at our own shit. Class. What class is starting tonight, Shannon? Okay, so the class that's starting tonight, Shannon, is on theteachables.com. The link is up. All through my page, you can see the link, but also Loving Energy Recharge has posted in here the link. It's on teachable.com, Corey School of Magic, and it's Healing the Healer is the name of the course. It's 4 weeks. It's live. It's interactive. It's 5:30 Mountain Standard Time. But if you cannot make it to the lives, the recordings go up shortly after class. All the material is in there, the questions, and it's all in these little beautiful little organized school that Lisa Richard of Loving Energy Recharge has created, and I do all the video work, and I write all your sheets and stuff, and I come in and teach live. And if you can't be in the live, you still get the same energy. You're still included in the healing aspect of everything that I'm doing. And it's a program for us women who have not made ourselves a priority. It's a program for any woman who just feels the need to start putting herself first, that really wants to invest into her and to make her to be able to go through your whatever level of healing that it is that you're seeking and searching within, to be able to live the best versions of herself. So I'd love to see you in there, Shannon. I'd love to see you all in there. If I could give this healing out into the world, well, I do kind of in a way whenever you come into any live. But yeah, so I'm starting more of these kind of talks, more of this kind of energy, bringing this forth. Anybody, it's one thing for me to give you a message. It's one thing to pull a card and say, oh, so-and-so is with you. But is that going to change your life? Is that going to take you to the place of healing? We have to do the work. And it's time for us to start doing the work, because there's a whole lot of offended energy out there in the world. We got a whole lot of people in the youthful, teenage, old energy running around being offended and angry and frustrated. And it's time to bring us back into peace. It's time to come back into the loving energy. And it starts with us, one person at a time. We light ourselves up. We find our peace. We set ourselves free. We surrender to wanting everything to be our way, and we start allowing this new world to unfold within us. That's where we're starting. Yes, we do teach others how to treat us. Exactly. We do. We teach others how to treat us. When we keep saying, why does everybody treat me this way? Why do I treat myself that way? The biggest enemy that we often have is our own self. The biggest problem we have is our own self. And we keep trying to run away from our own self. Well, you can't. So you're always in that fight with somebody who you can't get away from. You can't get away from you. Sorry, don't happen. I am not doing readings today, Bethany. I'm just talking about my upcoming course. This is an early morning chat So it starts tonight. Alicia, no, it doesn't work. I almost died, and my mother and sister and brother couldn't care less. Right? You have to care for you. You have to be that priority. You have to do that work for you. When we love ourselves and the world, we don't project our pain out into the world. Exactly. And we stop having the desire to fix everybody. We stop having desire to push our views, wanting everybody to see things our way. Yes, Judy, there's not much that hasn't happened to me. Most that, and I always say, and when my book comes out, you'll hear me say that everything that, most of what's happened to me, I kept allowing. What you allow, right? What persists in our lives is what we're allowing to happen in our lives. And so, yeah. You're going to be joining, Brenda? Yay. Yippity doo-dah. Makes me happy. And so when I looked at, I'm just going to go back to, I just want to talk a little bit about reality before I let everybody go. So, well, you got free will to go as you please. You don't have to stay in and listen to my voice. And so we create our realities. And the reality we live in is the reality that we're creating. And when we create those realities, it becomes our truth. So you think back, you became the reality of your family. You grew up in a home and you become their reality. And you believe that to be true. So it's the same thing when we get caught in this whole one side or the other. We only follow, we only read, we only listen to, we don't listen to or choose to be a part of anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. Well, that's our whole life. We get very caught in this reality that we create, and then we pull everybody else into the truth, or we get pulled into this truth. And this is what we believe to be true. It's true because I see it, I know it, I believe it. This is what I've heard, this is what I've been told. What if it's not? So I say my biggest thing that I say is I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not right. If I'm wrong, it's not the end of the world. But if I'm right, then I'll feel it. But there's something inside of yourself that when you keep trying to convince yourself that what you view is right, that your view is right, then you're always on the defensive side. You're always fighting and defending, and you become the keyboard warriors, and we get caught up in like, did you see what they said today? And da 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 da, and we get caught in that. So once you get into your not true self and you find yourself being angry, you find yourself getting offended, you find yourself defending, you find yourself, well, there's something of that reality that you may want to question, because there is something of your motives, of your desire to be right. So it's like, even like right down to the whole wearing mask, all this, what is our why? What is the why behind why we're so determined that our truth be true? It's usually something we're trying to save, something we're afraid of. It's tied into ego. It's tied into ego. That's our fear of losing somebody, our fear of losing something, our fear of not getting our way, our fear of something from the past, our fear of how we're raised to be afraid of everything, our fear of what if somebody finds out a truth, right? There's this whole essence that ties into when we're so determined to be on that fighting edge of fighting for this truth and this reality that we want to believe. And so our realities are the realities that we create. So when we choose to stay in our misery and not rise to seeking solutions, or we're so determined to mount to the angry mob and not get out of there and get up above and gain perspective. And there's more than one perspective. It's called perspectives. So when you take your blinders off and you look around, well, now you have possibilities. Now you have the ability to be curious. Now you have that opportunity to see things differently. Now you have an opportunity to become a part of multiple of realities so that you can gain your own perspectives. And it's like being the neutral zone that I stay in is not the neutral zone that I'm neutral to, not wanting to take sides, is that I'm more willing to be open to exploring, to get to see beyond somebody's anger and somebody's frustration, to say, okay, I don't know all these people personally, and I don't know their personal stories. I'm sure they have a really good why for why they're behaving this way that aligns to them. But is it true? Is it serving the highest good? And is it for the highest good? And that allows us then to be more innovative, more creative, more opening, setting ourselves free. The ultimate level of what I'm seeking is to find peace in myself so that I'm not defending why I'm taking a stand. I'm not defending on why I'm on the side of the man, but I'm also feeling not a need to project out my views to make somebody else, to convince somebody else to believe me. Right. And that's the ability to be individual, that we're here to be able to have freedom of speech, freedom of our right, freedom to have our own version, and freedom to live, to breathe without fear, without being so angry, without being so frustrated, to live from our hearts. Oh, Alicia, no, Alicia, I didn't take that to actually be negative. Yeah, that's not a negative comment, actually. That's a truth. And you're going to learn that in the program. Don't apologize for your truth. It's like when we say sorry, we're taking our power back away. It's like that wasn't a negative comment. That was a truth for you. That was a moment of truth for you. And so sometimes, it's like, I'm not sure if I'm right, but this is how I feel. I'm not sure if this is, this might not be for everybody, but this is how I feel right now. Right. And so that's keeping your power. And we're here to learn what it means to power ourselves up, and what it means to, grow up. And I don't mean grow up like when you hear that, oh, just grow up, not that kind of energy. I mean, grow up. I mean, to actually become, spiritually age, to allow ourselves to evolve past our traumas, past our inner child wounds, past their inner young adult wounds, to be able to rise up through those, and to be able to live in the essence of the powerful divine feminine energy that we have within us. And that means we don't keep saying, I'm sorry, or we don't feel need to apologize for sometimes having to have our voice, because we are allowed to have our voice. But when we turn our anger into a voice of love, then we can truly communicate out our messages in a powerful way. It's easy to love others when we love ourselves. Yes, our ego keeps us from forgiving ourselves and from forgiving others. Yes, loving ourselves is a big part of this. Healing ourselves, going to the core, is a huge part of this. We got to get to the core. So it becomes uncomfortable. And as I say to my level 3 students, there's times you're not going to like me, because I am a mirror reflection. As an empath, as a healer, as a mystic, I am the image of everything that you don't like. So when I'm working with people in person, I reflect the energy of the person that may have hurt you. I reflect the energy of the person and it's like, it's not me intentionally doing it. It's like a movie screen that's flashing as you're going through your healing process. And I'm the person in the line of fire, because I'm always walking that step ahead, not being a better or more than, but walking that little bit ahead to say, okay, it's safe now. You come. It's like coming through. It's like, so you're coming through those lights. You're coming through that energy. You're coming through that aura. So when we let go of all ego, when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, exposed, and to be able to work in a group of women and know that you feel safe, speaks volumes to what you're willing to do for yourself. Because we're here to be able to work together, to support together, and to be able to really align into coexisting in a world where we can be individuals. We can all be different. We can have different views. We can live differently, but we can all coexist in peace and love together. So I hope to see you all in my course starting tonight. And if you, like I said, if you can't make the lives, it's okay. You can still sign up and watch the videos whenever you're available. And I will be back in hopefully tomorrow. I teach a lot, so I teach a lot of evenings. And if you're not ready to take the Healing the Healer course, we do have a lot of other courses in the school right now. And we have the Angel Tarot course, and I teach about using tarot cards. And I do it from a way of teaching I teach every card, but I do it from the way of looking at it's all, every suit is on the hero's journey. It's about us making the choice to make a change in our lives, and from there we move up, and then we take the spiritual journey, and we have to let things go, and what needs to die, and things have to be demolished and destroyed in order for us to be the best version of ourselves. We have to have endings, we have to have beginnings. And so I always teach from those levels. We also have the inner child healing course in there. There's lots of things. And then, of course, starting September, the More Than Existing program starts again. And that's a 6-month program. And that's for level 1. It pretty much takes a year to go from level 1 to level 4 to get to becoming a self-actualization coach through the More Than Existing program. But I look forward to seeing you all tonight. Have a wonderful day. It is a little rainy here right now, but I'm hoping the sun is going to shine. Enjoy the rest of your day. Much, much love. And I am sending much love and healing into your hearts today. And I look forward to seeing you all tonight. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining. It don't want to stop streaming.